reflection in my mirror showed dark circles under my eyes. But for once, I didn't care. Today wasn't about me. It was about Teresa's 7th birthday, and I'd be damned if I let anything ruin it. Even if that meant enduring 3 hours of Sophia's snide remarks about my quaint decorations and modest lifestyle. I'm Camila, and for the past 4 years, I've been raising my daughter alone, while my ex-husband Maximus plays occasional weekend dad between business trips and his new girlfriends. The birthday parties are always the worst. That's when his whole family descends like perfectly coiffed vultures, especially his sister Sophia. "Mommy, is Aunt Sophia really coming?" Teresa asked, peeking into my bedroom. Her princess dress sparkled in the morning light, and my heart melted at the sight of her gap-toothed smile. "Yes, baby, but don't worry about her. Today is your special day." I adjusted her tiara, pushing aside thoughts of last year's disaster, when Sophia had commented loudly about how second-hand party supplies show such admirable resourcefulness. The doorbell rang at exactly 2 p.m. Sophia always arrived first, probably to get in her initial round of jabs before the other guests arrived. "Camila, darling." She air-kissed both my cheeks, her designer perfume overwhelming my senses. "This is different." Her eyes swept across the living room I'd spent hours decorating with an enchanted forest theme. "Very DIY, though I suppose that's all the rage now among the budget-conscious." I forced a smile. "Teresa helped design everything herself." "Of course she did." Sophia's perfectly manicured hand waved dismissively. "Though if you'd accepted Mom's offer to host at the country club..." "Teresa wanted the party at home." I cut her off, my voice steady despite the familiar anger bubbling up. The next hour was a blur of arriving guests, excited children, and carefully orchestrated games. I caught Quinn's supportive glance from across the room as she helped serve cake. She knew how much I was holding back. "Oh my God, is that the same dress you wore to last year's Christmas dinner?" Sophia's voice carried across the room as I was setting up the pin-the-tail game. "I admire how you make things last." Several parents turned to look, and I felt my cheeks burn. But before I could respond, my phone buzzed with a text from Miles. "Meeting confirmed. Investors ready. This is it, Kay." I smiled, sliding the phone back into my pocket. Let Sophia have her moment. In 6 months, everything would be different. "Mommy, can we do presents now?" Teresa tugged at my sleeve, her eyes bright with excitement. "Of course, sweetheart." I gathered everyone around the gift table, deliberately ignoring Sophia's theatrical sigh when she saw the modest pile of presents. "Here's mine first," Sophia announced, producing an enormous box wrapped in designer paper. "Every little girl deserves something special." Teresa's eyes widened as she unwrapped the latest gaming console, the one I'd told her we couldn't afford right now. "I know your mom said no," Sophia stage whispered to Teresa, "but Aunt Sophia knows what little girls really want." The room went quiet. I could feel Quinn tensing beside me, ready to intervene, but I touched her arm gently. "Thank you, Sophia," I said calmly. "That's very generous." "Well, someone has to be," she replied with a saccharine smile. "We can't all be satisfied with mediocrity." Later, as the last guests were leaving, I overheard Sophia on her phone in the hallway. "Daddy, what do you mean the meeting was canceled? The Singapore deal has to go through." "Daddy? Daddy!" She caught me watching and quickly composed herself, but I'd seen the flash of panic in her eyes. Something was wrong in the perfect Whitfield world, and suddenly, the text from Miles felt even more significant. That night, after tucking Teresa into bed with her new console, which I'd decided to let her keep, I wouldn't use my daughter as a pawn. I sat in my kitchen with a glass of wine and my laptop. The business plan Miles and I had been working on for months glowed on the screen. Our investors were ready, the patents were nearly approved, and timing, as they say, is everything. "Just you wait, Sophia," I whispered to my empty kitchen. "Just you wait." My phone lit up with another text from Miles. "You won't believe what I just heard about Whitfield Industries." I smiled, took a sip of wine, and clicked reply. The game was about to change, and for once, I had all the right cards. The numbers look solid, Miles said, sliding the financial projections across his desk. But there's something you need to know about the Whitfield situation. I leaned forward in my chair, remembering Sophia's panicked phone call at Teresa's party. Tell me, their Singapore deal is falling apart. My contact in their legal department says Eugene's been making desperate moves, trying to cover massive losses. Miles lowered his voice. They're on the verge of collapse, Camila. The irony wasn't lost on me. 4 years ago, when Maximus left, his family had made sure I walked away with nothing but my daughter and my dignity. Now their empire was crumbling. What about our investment timeline? I asked, trying to keep my voice neutral. We could move forward now, but… Miles hesitated. If we wait 3 months, we might be able to acquire their distribution network for pennies on the dollar. My phone buzzed. A text from Teresa's school. Mommy, I forgot my lunch. Can you bring it? I need to run, I told Miles. Teresa forgot her lunch. He smiled knowingly. Go. We'll finish this later. Driving to Teresa's school, my mind wandered to the day Maximus left. I'd been making lunch then, too. Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for Teresa's preschool. I can't do this anymore, he'd said, standing in our kitchen with a packed suitcase. The pressure from my family, this modest life, I need more. More than your daughter? I'd asked, but he was already walking out the door. The school secretary smiled as I walked in with Teresa's lunch bag. She's such a wonderful child, she said, always helping the other kids. I found Teresa in the cafeteria, sitting alone. My heart clenched. Baby, what's wrong? I sat beside her. Jenny said I can't sit with them because Aunt Sophia told her mom we're poor. Teresa's bottom lip trembled. Are we poor, Mommy? I pulled her close. No, sweetheart, we have everything we need, and soon we'll have even more. But why does Aunt Sophia say those mean things? Some people think money makes them better than others, I explained. But true wealth isn't in your wallet, it's in your heart. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Quinn. You won't believe what I just overheard at the country club, she said, when I called her back in the car. Sophia was arguing with her father about selling her house. Things must be worse than we thought. How bad? Bad enough that she was crying in the bathroom about having to cancel her trip to Paris. I pulled into my office parking lot, thoughts racing. The satisfaction I'd expected to feel wasn't there. Instead, I felt an uncomfortable mix of vindication and pity. Back at my desk, I found an email from our patent attorney. Final approval expected within 60 days. Proceed with investor meetings. My finger hovered over the reply button when Miles knocked on my door. Eugene Whitfield is asking about selling their warehouse space, he said without preamble. They're desperate for quick cash. The same warehouse space we were planning to lease? He nodded. At triple our budget, but if we wait, we could buy it outright when they crash, I finished his thought. Exactly. But Camila… Miles sat down. Are you sure you want to play this game? Revenge might feel good now, but… This isn't about revenge, I interrupted. This is business. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. We need to talk. Sophia. I showed Miles the message. He raised an eyebrow. What are you going to do? Before I could answer, another text came through. Please, it's about Teresa's trust fund. My hands clenched. The trust fund Maximus's family had promised Teresa, then conveniently lost in paperwork after the divorce. I should get back to work, Miles said, standing. Just remember who you are, Camila. Don't let them change that. After he left, I stared at Sophia's text. 4 years of snide comments, social humiliation, and watching my daughter cry because of their cruelty flashed through my mind. My phone buzzed one more time. A photo from Teresa. She'd drawn our family portrait in art class. Just the two of us, holding hands, with a rainbow above our heads. Love you, Mommy. I picked up my phone and typed a reply to Sophia. Tomorrow, 9 a.m., my office. The game was changing, but I needed to decide what winning really meant. As I looked at Teresa's drawing again, I realized this wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about rewriting our future. Sophia was 15 minutes late to our meeting, but her usual confidence was missing when she walked into my office. Her designer clothes looked immaculate as always, but her eyes were rimmed red. "Coffee?" I offered, more out of habit than hospitality. "No, I—" She smoothed her skirt, sitting down. "Thank you for meeting me." I waited, letting the silence stretch uncomfortably. "It's about Teresa's trust fund," she finally said. "There's been a complication." "You mean the trust fund that mysteriously vanished after Maximus left?" I kept my voice neutral. "The one your mother said must have been lost in the market crash?" Sophia flinched. "We never meant to—" My phone rang. It was Teresa's school again. "Ms. Fletcher, Teresa's running a fever. Could you come get her?" "I'll be right there." I stood up. "We'll have to continue this another time." "Wait!" Sophia grabbed my arm. "Please, Daddy's business. We're in trouble. Real trouble. And I know you're working on something big with Miles." I carefully removed her hand. "I need to get my daughter." "Your daughter?" She laughed bitterly. "She's my niece, Camila. Family. Despite everything." "Family?" I turned back. "Where was family when Teresa needed her father? When your mother told everyone at church I was a gold digger? When you—" My phone buzzed with a text from Quinn. "Market rumors about Whitfield Industries getting worse. Stock down 30% today." Sophia's phone chimed at the same time. The color drained from her face as she read whatever message she'd received. "I have to go," I said, grabbing my purse. "Teresa needs me." "That's just it," Sophia called after me. "You always had what I never did. A child who actually needs you." I paused at the door. "What?" "Daddy never needed me. Max never listened to me. Even Mother just uses me for social appearances." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "But Teresa, she lights up when she sees you. Do you know what that's worth?" Before I could respond, Miles burst in. "Sorry to interrupt, but you both need to see this." He turned on the office TV. A business news anchor was mid-report. "Sources confirm Whitfield Industries CEO Eugene Whitfield has taken an emergency leave of absence amid allegations of financial impropriety." Sophia collapsed into the chair, her perfectly manicured hands shaking as she pulled out her phone. "Daddy's not answering." My phone buzzed again. Teresa's school wondering where I was. "I have to go," I said firmly. "Please," Sophia whispered. "Help me understand what's happening." For a moment, I saw past the designer clothes and practiced superiority to the scared little girl beneath. But Teresa needed me. "Miles will explain what he can. I have to get my daughter." In the car, Quinn called. "Did you see the news? Are you okay?" "I'm fine. Just getting Teresa from school." "And Sophia? Did she beg?" I thought about the tears in Sophia's eyes. "Something like that. Don't let her manipulate you," Quinn warned. "Remember what she did at Max's wedding?" I did remember. Sophia had made sure I wasn't invited, then sent me photos of Teresa dancing with her father and his new bride. At school, Teresa was curled up in the nurse's office, her cheeks flushed with fever. "Mommy," she mumbled as I gathered her in my arms. "Can we go home?" "Of course, baby." As I carried her to the car, my phone lit up with a message from Maximus, the first in months. "Is it true about Dad's company?" I ignored it. At home, after settling Teresa with medicine and her favorite cartoon, I checked my emails. The patent attorney had sent final approval documents. Our investors were ready to move, and Whitfield Industries stock had dropped another 15%. "Mommy?" Teresa called weakly from the couch. "Will you tell me a story?" I sat beside her, stroking her hair. "Once upon a time," I began, "there was a princess who thought she had everything." "Was she pretty like Aunt Sophia?" I paused. "She was beautiful on the outside, but she had to learn that true beauty comes from how you treat others." "Did she learn?" My phone buzzed with another text from Sophia. "I know I don't deserve your help, but I'm asking anyway." "I don't know yet, baby," I told Teresa. "The story isn't over." As Teresa drifted off to sleep, I thought about Sophia's tears, about revenge and karma, about the fine line between justice and cruelty. The power I'd dreamed of having was finally in my hands. The question was, what kind of ending did I want to write? The morning news was brutal. Eugene's face plastered across every business channel, the word fraud in bold letters beneath his photo. I turned off the TV when Teresa came down for breakfast. "Are you feeling better, sweetheart?" She nodded, climbing onto her chair. "Is Aunt Sophia okay? I saw her crying on TV." Before I could answer, my phone rang. It was Miles. "Turn on Channel 7, he said without greeting. "Eugene's wife is giving a statement." I waited until Teresa left for school before switching the TV back on. There stood Nora, Sophia's mother, her usual poise cracking as she faced the reporters. "My husband made some regrettable decisions," she said, her voice trembling. "But we're still a respectable family. These allegations are—" The feed cut to breaking news. Whitfield Industries announces mass layoffs. My office was chaos when I arrived. Miles was waiting by my door. 300 employees let go this morning," he said, following me inside. "Their warehouse is shutting down next week." "The same warehouse we were looking at?" He nodded. "It gets better. Guess who's been calling me all morning?" "Sophia?" "Their entire board of directors. They're practically begging for investors." He leaned forward. "We could buy the whole company for less than we were going to spend on that warehouse." My phone buzzed. A text from Quinn. "Have you seen this?" Attached was a social media post from Sophia's country club. "Due to unfortunate circumstances, the annual charity gala will no longer be hosted by the Whitfield family." Another text came through, this time from Maximus. "Tell Teresa I can't make it this weekend. Things are complicated right now." "Some things never change," I muttered. "What are you thinking?" Miles asked. Before I could answer, my assistant knocked. "Ms. Fletcher, Sophia's here. She doesn't have an appointment, but—" "Send her in." Sophia looked different. No designer bag, minimal makeup, hair pulled back simply. "Have you seen the news?" "Hard to miss," I replied. "Daddy's gone." Her voice cracked. "He left last night. No one knows where he is." Miles quietly excused himself, closing the door behind him. "Mother's a mess. Max won't answer my calls. Everything's falling apart." Sophia sank into a chair. "The press is camped outside my house. They're calling Daddy a thief." "Is he?" She looked up sharply. "Does it matter? We're still family. Are we?" I stood up. "When Maximus left, when I was struggling to keep a roof over Teresa's head, where was this family you're talking about?" "I know I was awful to you," she whispered. "I was jealous." "Jealous? Of what?" "You were free. Independent. I've never been either of those things." She wiped her eyes. "Even my trust fund was just another way for Daddy to control me." My phone buzzed again. An email from our investors. "Ready to move on Whitfield acquisition. Require immediate response." "I heard rumors about your business venture," Sophia said. "The patents, the investors. You've done amazing things, Camilla, without any help." "I had help, just not from your family." "I know." She stood up. "And I know I don't deserve anything from you. But I'm not asking for me. Mother, she's talking about selling the house Teresa visits Max in. When he bothers to show up," I couldn't help adding. "Please, just think about it. For Teresa's sake." After she left, Miles returned. "Well?" I showed him the investor email. "If we move now, we could take everything." But Teresa loves that house. Her few memories with her father are there." My phone lit up with a text from Teresa. "Mommy, Jenny invited me to sit with her at lunch today. She said she doesn't care what anyone says about us." Miles watched me reading the message. "You know, revenge might feel good for a moment. But what lesson does it teach Teresa?" I thought about Sophia's tears, about Teresa's innocent joy at making a friend, about the fine line between justice and becoming what we hate. "Call the investors," I said finally, "but not about the acquisition. I have a different proposal in mind. You're sure? I nodded, picking up my phone to text Sophia. Meet me tomorrow. Bring your mother and your lawyer. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying your enemies. Sometimes it's about being strong enough to help them when they fall, and making sure they remember who lifted them up. My phone buzzed one last time. Teresa had sent a heart emoji. That was all the confirmation I needed. The boutique's sales assistant raised her eyebrows as I tried on the third designer dress. "This one's our most expensive piece," she said, probably expecting me to balk at the price. "I'll take it," I said, smoothing the silk against my hips. The black dress cost more than my first car, but today wasn't about money. It was about making a statement. My phone buzzed, Miles confirming the meeting arrangements. In 2 hours, I'd face Sophia, Nora, and their lawyers in my office. But first, I had another stop to make. The mall's luxury wing felt different now. The same stores where Sophia used to parade her wealth, making subtle digs about my budget-conscious choices, now seemed less intimidating. I walked into the designer shoe store with my head high. "Those are gorgeous," Quinn said, meeting me there. "But are you sure about this meeting? Nora can be manipulative." "So can I." I handed my credit card to the cashier. "When I need to be." Back at the office, I changed into my new outfit. The woman in the mirror looked powerful, confident. Everything Sophia had tried to make me feel I wasn't. Miles knocked on my door. "They're here. And Camila?" He paused. "Nice dress." They filed into the conference room like a funeral procession. Nora first, her face tight with forced dignity. Then Sophia, and finally their lawyer, clutching his briefcase like a shield. "Thank you for coming," I said, taking my seat at the head of the table. "Let's talk about the future of Whitfield Industries." "Our family business is not up for discussion," Nora snapped. "Mother?" Sophia warned quietly. I opened my laptop. "Actually, it is. Your husband left the country with most of your liquid assets. The company's stock is worthless. You're facing multiple lawsuits, and your warehouse employees are about to lose their jobs. And I suppose you're here to gloat?" Nora's voice dripped with venom. "No." I turned my laptop around. "I'm here to offer a solution." Their lawyer leaned forward, adjusting his glasses. "This is a restructuring proposal," I finished. "My company will acquire 40% of Whitfield Industries. We'll inject enough capital to save the warehouse operations and settle the immediate lawsuits." 40%? Nora looked like she'd swallowed something sour. "You want us to give you nearly half our company?" "I want to save your company," I corrected. "And your house." Sophia's head snapped up. "What?" "The house stays in the family trust. For Teresa." I met Nora's eyes. "My daughter deserves to keep some connection to her father's family, don't you think?" The room fell silent. I could almost see the calculations running behind Nora's eyes. "Why would you help us?" she finally asked. "After everything." "Because Teresa taught me something you never could." I stood up, smoothing my new dress. "True power isn't in making others feel small. It's in choosing when to be big." My phone buzzed, Teresa's school appearing on the screen. I answered immediately, my heart jumping. "Mommy!" Teresa's excited voice came through. "I got an A on my math test." "That's wonderful, baby." I couldn't help smiling. "We'll celebrate tonight, okay?" When I looked up, Sophia was crying silently. Nora's facade had cracked, showing something that looked almost like shame. "The papers are ready," I said, sliding folders across the table. "You have until tomorrow to decide." "I don't need until tomorrow," Sophia said suddenly. "I'm in." "Sophia!" Nora protested. "No, Mother. Look at her." Sophia gestured at me. "Look at what she's built while we were busy tearing her down. I want to learn from that." My phone buzzed again. Quinn asking how it was going. I typed quickly. "Better than expected." "There are conditions," I said, turning back to them. "The warehouse workers keep their jobs. The charity gala continues, but under new management, and Teresa's college fund is reinstated. With interest." "You drive a hard bargain," their lawyer muttered, reviewing the papers. I learned from the best. I smiled at Nora. Didn't you always say business is business? As they left an hour later, papers signed, Sophia lingered behind. That dress, she said softly. It looks better on you than it ever did on me. I raised an eyebrow. I saw you buying it. It was mine, last season. She smiled sadly. But you wear it differently, like you don't need it to be strong. After they left, Miles brought in champagne. To the new partner of Whitfield Industries, he toasted. No, I corrected him, thinking of Teresa's excited voice, of Sophia's tears, of the long road ahead. To teaching our children better than we were taught. My phone lit up with a final text from Sophia. Thank you, for being the bigger person, for showing me what that looks like. I didn't reply. Some lessons are better taught in silence. The warehouse was eerily quiet as I walked through with Sophia, our heels echoing on the concrete floor. 300 employees would return tomorrow, their jobs secure under the new agreement. I never came here before, Sophia admitted, running her finger along a dusty shelf. Daddy said it wasn't a place for family. Everything is a place for family when you're fighting to save it. My phone buzzed, Maximus calling. I declined it. He's been trying to reach me too, Sophia said, noticing, now that the press has caught wind of the restructuring deal. Of course he has. I checked my watch. The workers arrive in an hour. Are you ready? She straightened her blazer. A simple one, not designer. Do you think they'll hate us? They'll hate your father. You have a chance to show them something different. The warehouse doors opened, and Miles walked in with the union representative, Jack. Ms. Fletcher, Jack nodded to me, then turned coldly to Sophia. Ms. Whitfield. Please, she stepped forward. Call me Sophia. I know you have every reason to distrust my family, but… Save it, he cut her off. 300 families almost lost everything because of your father's greed. And now 300 families get to keep their jobs, I interjected, because his daughter chose to do better. My phone buzzed again, this time with a text from Teresa. Mommy, when is Dad coming to get me this weekend? I showed the message to Sophia, whose face fell. He's in Dubai, she said quietly, trying to secure investors for his new venture. Of course he is, I typed back to Teresa. How about we have a girls' weekend instead? Jack cleared his throat. The workers will want guarantees, real ones, not just promises from another Whitfield. Show them, I told Sophia. She pulled out a folder. These are the new contracts, guaranteed employment for 2 years, with improved benefits and profit sharing. She handed them to Jack. And I'll be working here 3 days a week, learning the operation from the ground up. You? Jack couldn't hide his surprise. In the warehouse? I need to understand what my father never did. That a company is its people, not its profit margins. My phone lit up with a news alert. Whitfield Air Partners with ex-sister-in-law to save family business. They're here, Miles called from the door. A crowd of workers was gathering outside. Ready? I asked Sophia. She squared her shoulders. No, but I'm doing it anyway. The workers filed in, faces guarded, some angry, others afraid. Sophia stepped forward. 4 days ago, I had never set foot in this warehouse, she began. I was too busy buying designer clothes and planning charity galas to care about the people who made our family's wealth possible. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. My father betrayed your trust. He betrayed all of us. But today, thanks to Camilla, we have a chance to rebuild. Not just the company, but our community. Why should we believe you? Someone called out. Because unlike my father, I'm not asking for your trust. Sophia's voice carried clearly. I'm asking for a chance to earn it. Starting today, I'll be working alongside you, learning from you. My phone buzzed with a text from Nora. The press is asking for a statement about Maximus abandoning his daughter again. I ignored it, watching Sophia connect with the workers, one conversation at a time. She was different now, humbled but determined. Jack approached me. This is real? She's really going to work here? Watch her, I replied. She's not her father. By afternoon, the warehouse was humming with activity. Sophia had ditched her blazer, helping to inventory stock with a team of workers who'd gradually warmed to her genuine interest in their work. "Why did you do it?" she asked during a quiet moment. "You could have taken everything, destroyed us completely." "Because Teresa's watching," I said simply, "and she needs to see that strength isn't about crushing others. It's about lifting them up when they fall." My phone chimed with another text from Teresa. "Jenny asked if I can sleep over tonight. Can I?" As I typed my reply, Sophia touched my arm. "Thank you, not just for saving the company, but for showing me what real power looks like. Just remember this feeling," I told her, "next time you're tempted to look down on someone." The warehouse doors opened again as another shift of workers arrived. Sophia straightened up, ready to introduce herself, to prove herself, to be better than the name she carried. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. Sometimes it's showing your enemies a better way to be. "Daddy's back," Teresa announced at breakfast, showing me her phone. "He wants to have dinner with us tonight." I nearly choked on my coffee. After 6 weeks of silence, now he appears? "Did Aunt Sophia tell him about the company?" Teresa asked innocently. "Probably, sweetheart." I stroked her hair. "Do you want to see him?" Before she could answer, my phone rang. Sophia. "He's trying to muscle his way back in," she said without preamble. "Max is at Mother's house right now, talking about his rightful place in the company." "Of course he is." I watched Teresa finish her cereal. "How's Nora taking it?" "She told him to leave." Sophia's voice held a hint of pride. "Said he abandoned his family when we needed him, and now he doesn't get to come back just because we're stable again." My phone beeped with another call. Maximus. "He's calling me now," I told Sophia. "Don't answer. Come to the warehouse instead. There's something you need to see." An hour later, I walked into a transformed warehouse. Gone were the dusty shelves and dim lighting. The space was bright, organized, and humming with energy. Sophia stood with a group of workers, reviewing shipping schedules. She'd traded her designer wardrobe for practical work clothes, her perfectly manicured nails now short and practical. "Show her," she told the workers excitedly. They led me to a new section of the warehouse. "The Teresa Project," read a sign above rows of carefully packaged educational supplies. "We're partnering with local schools," Sophia explained, "providing supplies to underprivileged students." The workers came up with the idea. "And named it after Teresa?" I felt tears threatening. "She inspired it. After everything you've taught me about what really matters." My phone buzzed again. Maximus. "Answer it," Sophia said. "It's time." I stepped outside and picked up. "Hello, Max." "Camila, baby, we need to talk." His voice oozed charm. "About the company, about us, about starting fresh." "There is no us, Max. There hasn't been since you walked out 4 years ago." "Don't be like that. I've changed. And with the company's new direction." "You mean the direction your sister and I created while you were hiding in Dubai?" He paused. "I have rights. I'm still a Whitfield." "No," I said firmly. "You're just a man who abandoned his daughter. And now that she's older, smarter, and surrounded by strong women who actually show up for her, you don't get to waltz back in. I want to see Teresa. That's her choice. But the company? That's mine and Sophia's." I hung up and went back inside. Sophia was watching me. "He'll try the lawyers next," she said. "Let him." I gestured at the warehouse. "We've built something real here, something honest." My phone lit up with a text from Teresa. "Can I have dinner with Dad and Aunt Sophia? I want him to see the warehouse." I showed Sophia the message. "Smart girl," she smiled. "Wants him to see what he missed out on." That evening, I watched from my office window as Teresa proudly showed Maximus around the warehouse. His expensive suit looked out of place among the workers and shipping crates. Sophia stood nearby, no longer the polished socialite, but a respected leader who knew every worker by name. My phone buzzed. Quinn calling. "How's it going?" she asked. "Teresa's showing Max the warehouse. He looks lost." "Good. Let him see what real strength looks like." Through the window, I saw Teresa pointing out her namesake project to Max. His face fell as she explained how it helped kids who couldn't afford school supplies. "Remember when you said we were too poor for new notebooks?" I heard her ask him as they passed below my window. "Now we help other kids get them instead." Sophia caught my eye through the window and nodded. We'd done this, transformed a family legacy of greed into something meaningful. My phone chimed with an email from our lawyers. "Mr. Whitfield's attorneys requesting board meeting." "Delete it," I told my assistant, "and send them our new company charter instead. The one that requires board members to work in the warehouse 1 day a month." Later, as Teresa and I drove home, she was quiet. "You okay, baby?" I asked. "Dad seemed different," she said thoughtfully. "Smaller somehow. Sometimes people who seem big only look that way because they stand on others. Real strength comes from lifting people up." "Like you and Aunt Sophia do?" I smiled. "Exactly like that." My phone lit up one last time. A message from Sophia. "Thank you for showing me how to be bigger than my name. Sometimes the biggest victories aren't won through force, but through grace. And sometimes the best revenge is simply living well, standing tall, and showing others how to rise." The autumn breeze carried the sound of laughter from the warehouse courtyard, where employees and their families gathered for the first annual company picnic. Teresa darted between tables, proudly showing off the new playground equipment her project had funded for the workers' children. "Who would have thought?" Sophia handed me a coffee, watching the scene. A Whitfield family gathering where no one's wearing designer labels or comparing stock portfolios. "Ah, Mother's still struggling with the concept," she added, nodding toward Nora, who sat somewhat stiffly at a table with warehouse workers' families, actually listening to their stories. My phone buzzed. Maximus again. I declined the call. "He's persistent," Sophia noted. "He's predictable," I corrected. "The company's stock tripled since the restructuring. Of course he wants back in." Teresa ran up, breathless with excitement. "Mom, come see what Jenny's dad made." She pulled me toward a display where Jack, our union representative, stood proudly beside rows of handcrafted wooden toys. "The workers started a side project," Sophia explained, following us. "They're making toys for children's hospitals, using their breaks and staying after shifts." "Their choice," Jack added quickly. "No overtime required." "But why?" I asked. "Because you and Sophia showed us what good leadership looks like," he said simply. "It's contagious." My phone lit up with a text from Quinn. "Have you seen the Business Journal article?" I pulled it up. "Whitfield Industries revolutionizes corporate culture, a story of redemption and female leadership." "They got it wrong," Sophia said, reading over my shoulder. "It's not about female leadership. It's about human leadership." Teresa tugged my sleeve. "Dad's here." Sure enough, Maximus stood at the entrance, looking uncomfortable in his casual attempt at casual clothes. Probably still designer, just less obvious. "I'll handle this," Sophia started forward, but I stopped her. "No, let Teresa handle it." We watched as Teresa walked to her father, head high, shoulders back, looking so much stronger than her 7 years. "You can join us," she told him, loud enough for nearby workers to hear. "But not in a suit, not as a boss, and not pretending you were here all along." Maximus glanced around, noticing the workers watching. "Sweetheart, I'm still your father. I have rights." "Rights?" Teresa's voice carried clearly. "Like the right to miss my birthdays, to cancel weekends, to make Mom cry?" I started forward, but Sophia held me back. "She needs this," she whispered. "You can stay," Teresa continued, "but only if you're ready to be different. Like Aunt Sophia learned to be different. Like Mom taught us to be." The courtyard had fallen silent. Even Nora was watching, something like respect flickering across her face. Maximus looked at me, then at Sophia, then back at his daughter. For once, his practiced charm failed him. I don't know how," he admitted. "Start by listening," Teresa said. "That's what Aunt Sophia did. Start by caring about people more than money. That's what Mom taught her." My phone buzzed with a message from Miles. "Board meeting in 20." Bringing the new community initiative proposals. I need to go, I told Sophia. Board meeting. Take Teresa, she said. She should see this part too. What about? I nodded toward Maximus. I'll handle my brother, she smiled. I've learned from the best how to be firm with kindness. In the boardroom, Teresa sat beside me as we reviewed proposals for expanding the education initiative. Her input was surprisingly insightful. We should ask the kids what they need, she suggested, like you asked the workers what they needed. My phone lit up with a photo from Sophia. Maximus in the warehouse, tie removed, sleeves rolled up, actually listening to Jack explain the toy-making project. Think he'll change? I texted back. Doesn't matter, came her reply. We already did. After the meeting, Teresa and I walked back to the courtyard. The party was winding down, but the sense of community lingered. Workers' children played on the new equipment while their parents chatted with Sophia, Nora, and yes, even Maximus, who looked slightly less polished but somehow more real. Mom? Teresa squeezed my hand. Are we rich now? I looked around at the happy faces, the sense of purpose, the bridges built from the ashes of revenge. We're wealthy, I corrected, but not because of money. My phone chimed one last time, a message from an employee's child. Thank you for my new school books. Now I can be smart like Teresa. Sometimes the best endings aren't about winning or losing. They're about transforming the battlefield into common ground, where everyone has a chance to become better than they were. And sometimes the greatest victory is watching your child teach others the lessons you fought so hard to learn.